Hey, good morning, evening, afternoon. So first I want to thank, y'all know him as Professor Diggs, Mr. Diggs. He's my pastor, so I call him Pastor Diggs. Thank you, Pastor, the faculty and staff for inviting me. And most importantly, guys, congratulations on tomorrow. So Pastor Diggs told you a little bit about me, really everything. But you may ask, who am I? August 2015, my parents dropped me off at the top of the hill up there, Morris Hall. I didn't know that I'd spend 4 to 6 years here at this great university. To say the least, my first year was the trial year. That's the year that everyone really just, be themselves. But that first year, it makes you. That first year, you learn a lot about yourself. So I arrived here on a Saturday morning about 10:40. And that Sunday morning, I was calling home. I remember going next door at the time, the building was white. I called my dad and I said, hey, I'm ready to come home. He said, son, just stick it out. I said, no, I'm ready to come home. The city, the colleges, the environment, everything was so new to me that when I got up here, I was so ready to go. It's a challenge to adapt to new things, because when you come from one place and you've been doing this thing for 18 years, when you're stuck in that one spot, and when you finally get the elevator a little bit, it's new to you. And what most people do is they like to revert back to where they just came from, because it's common to you and that's what you know. So that was me on that Sunday. I called home and I was ready to go. So I'm from Mobile, Alabama. I was raised in a small house with 12 people. But my mom always made sure my sisters and I was good to go. We probably didn't have, the high end, but we was okay. And no one told me that my dad was in federal prison. He spent 5.5 years in federal prison, actually. I didn't find out until he was released from prison that he was in prison. So in Mobile, we're on the shore, on the water, and the standard is to go to high school, graduate, shipyard. That's what mostly everyone do. There's nothing wrong with that if anybody do that, but that's standard. Anyone would tell you, in my circle, in this world, standard doesn't count. Standard doesn't cut it. Standard doesn't get you to that next level. So I knew that my goal was to never do that. And quite honest, I didn't want my mom doing that. So I couldn't go by the standard. So on that Sunday, I had to realize, Dre, if you're gonna go back home, you're going back to that standard that you didn't want to do. So in 2012, I remember I was working at a retirement home as a server, getting paid $7.25. I worked a good 10 hours a week. And I told my coworker at the time, I said, hey, Meech, I'm going to Alabama A&M. And at the time, I was a sophomore at Murphy High School. And I knew one thing at that moment, that if I go to Alabama A&M, I couldn't turn back. I was getting paid $7.25. That's all they gonna give you. 10 hours a week. I couldn't go back to where I came from. I asked you, what's your why? What kept you here? When more than half of the campus left, what kept you here? Around 2 years ago, we had a pandemic. You guys here? So you gotta ask yourself, why did I stay? Why did you choose to persevere and put yourself through this? To be honest, college is optional. You don't have to go to college. Getting a master's in social work, that's optional. You don't have to do that. But why do you persevere? Why persevere to get the bachelor's? What's your why? But with that, I ask you, what's your purpose as well? Purpose. That's something that you're gonna need as a social worker. to be honest, if you don't have a purpose in this building, don't be a social worker. Who or what impacted you? No one understands that the entire Alabama A&M could have dropped out of my freshman class, but guess who was going to stay at Alabama A&M? I was going to stay if the whole Morris Hall up. I was going to stay. I can't go back home. I got to stay up here. Christmas break, I'm still in the building, in the dorms. Everyone could have left, but Dre was going to stay. Majority of the things that I gained up in these 25 years of my life, I gained them here, on this campus. Everything that I learned, to embrace the suck, late nights, early mornings. I remember going to the library all day, every day, freshman year, falling asleep in the library. I gained that stuff here. And that's the type of stuff that I still go by even now. Because I needed that. I needed Alabama A&M. So I was 16 when I found my purpose. And I told God, I will forever fulfill this purpose and continue to serve in it while I breathe. Many people overlook social workers. But I give hats off to social workers. You want to know why? A social worker saved my life. A social worker changed my life. And throughout my life before, I encountered my first social worker, I always thought social workers just deal with kids. That was just my view on social workers. A life changer. That's a social worker. A life influencer. That's a social worker. A life saver. That is a social worker. So when my dad was released from prison, he dropped me off at school, and I remember him telling me before I got out of the car, "Hey Dre, I want you to be better than me." Education is where it starts. So once again, I salute you guys. I salute you guys for persevering it out. Because the easiest thing to do was to arrive here. The toughest thing is to stay here. No one told me when I graduated with my undergrad that, "Hey Dre, you might go a few months without a job." Life don't have a pamphlet telling you this is gonna happen, this date is this is what you have to do. You have to life. Life don't give you instructions. So I went a couple months without a job because the thing is, go to college, get your degree, get your good job, and live. That ain't how it's gonna go. The perseverance don't just stop tomorrow when you walk across that stage. Graduating tomorrow to walk that stage, that's the start of a new chapter. When you walk out of there, the next 6 to 12 months will either make or break you. Guys, if you don't remember none, remember this. Write this down actually, up on your phone, please. I got 3 things for you. The first key point. Perspective drives performance. Inky Johnson said, "How you view what you do determines how you do what you do." Your perspective, your outlook, your view on things. You want to be a social worker? Have that view. The view is when things get bad, when you walk into the house and you're like, I don't even want to be a social worker no more. Let me reconsider, what do I want to do? You came here for a reason, so keep that same reason. How you view what you do determines how you do what you do. Key point 2, the plan isn't official until it's written down. So I'll touch on that next in this last point. My favorite. You may bend, but never break. So I have this mentorship program where I have guys from juvenile home, Neves Davis Center home for children. And then I also have about 15 guys from the Richard Shower Center from north side of Huntsville. And about a good week and a half ago, I found myself bending. Because I have one guy, now my guys from Richard Shower Center, that's foster care. I have some guys foster care. But in juvenile home, you know, guys just go to the juvenile detention center and they come to me. And I had one from the D home. And anyone in my circle would tell you there's one thing Dre don't tolerate: disrespect. But it's a backhand on that disrespect. Dre don't tolerate disrespect. Females at all. No type of way. Know you or don't know you. I have 3 sisters. It's just some things I don't tolerate. So I finally meet one of my mentees about a good 3 weeks ago from the D home. He's 10 years old. And I remember because I left and I was like, man, why did this kid go to the detention center? Because he was good. He was good talking to me. The next 2 days I get a call, actually a text message. Mom is deaf. She said, hey Dre, I need you. So I put on my clothes and I rushed to her house. And the kid actually, he balled his fist up at his mom. And listen, I was so heated. I was bending. But really, I was broke. And I remember sitting in my car for about a good hour and a half. I called one of my good friends. And they said, hey Dre, if this kid got you like this, you might need to take a break from mentoring. Because I was tore up for about an hour. Like, I called my mom. I was like a kid, like, because the thing about it, I have so many people that I've seen lose their parents. I can't afford to let no one disrespect a female, but definitely not your mother. You 10 years old, and I was broken. And as a social worker, you're gonna bend. You're gonna bend as a social worker. But listen to me, don't ever break. So if you haven't done so, listen, you leave out of here, write a 3 to 5 year plan. In that plan, I want you to write down everything that you envision yourself doing. At the bottom of that plan, write down, never bend, never break. Most importantly, don't give up. As a social worker, your life isn't about you. Social workers are the glue to the world. They keep everything together. That's a social worker. So I tell you this, the community needs you. The community needs you. It's not enough social workers. It's not. The school needs you. The world really needs you. For your ideas, your work ethic, your mindset. The world needs you. If you don't remember those 3 points, remember this. If you're not going to give it 110%, please don't do it at all. 110%. That's what you should give. If you're going to be a 90% social worker, don't be a social worker. Because you're going to meet some kids that I run into. And I tend to think I'm tough. And if I've been like that, like I did 2 weeks ago, you can't be a 90% social worker. You gotta be 110% at all times. So when you walk across that stage tomorrow, you're just not graduating. I'm sorry guys, but y'all are not like what I did. I was a bachelor of computer science and criminal justice. That's easy work, but truly, that's not life-changing like a social worker. When you walk across this stage tomorrow, your role is different. The way you view things, your perspective has to shift. You can't be the same person that you was when you woke up. Your degree is different. It's life-changing. People's lives are dependent on you.
Yeah.
When you enter that house, when you enter that room, you got to shake the world. So in the next 6 months, your life can look a lot different than what it does right now. My challenge to you is to work, grind. Don't give up, push, persevere, be resilient. Whatever it took for you at AAMU, give it double that. Because I know you guys was just pushing out finals a week, 2 weeks ago. Give it double that. The time you spent 2 hours studying as a social worker, I'm sorry, that time is unlimited. You gotta put in your all. Give it your all. Whether that's studying for your license after this, investing in learning your job. Invest in learning your job. But truly learn your job. This isn't a role where you can just shortcut it. This profession isn't something you can just give 5%, 10%. This ain't something you just can do halfway. This isn't an easy task that you guys are taking on, and I know that because I see social workers. I see the change that they make. I told you a social worker changed my life, forever changed my life. The road that you guys are running into is going to be different, much different. Commit to making a difference in every life that you are bound to touch. Commit to making that difference. But most importantly, guys, don't never give up. Whatever you do, wherever you go from here on out, when you walk out of this room, remember, don't give up. Things gonna get rocky. Life gonna start lifing. It's gonna get shaky for you. I don't know where no one in here comes from, but I can tell you, you gotta leave the world better than what you found it. You gotta make your print as a social worker, not even as a social worker, but as a person, but it runs deeper as a social worker. You gotta leave your print. How will you affect the world as a social worker? How will you change the world as a social worker? And in your 3 to 5 year plan, what people don't tell you in that plan is, you can't really determine, what life's gonna throw at you. But try to put something in your head, if life do this, then this is what I'm gonna do. Because when you walk across that stage tomorrow, the world is yours. The world is really yours. So guys, I want to congratulate you and know that you're filling some big shoes. Thank you and congratulations.